Trans-delivery C. Well, many years ago in my earlier lectures and classes, I would tout the benefits of ascorbic acid or vitamin C. And I wasn't particularly enchanted by that, despite Linus Pauling being alive at the time and all his talk about vitamin C and so on. Oddly enough, in interviews over the years, I was kind of linked to him because I was always talking about vitamin C. The truth is that we have a little cell in our skin that produces two products, collagen and elastin. It's called a fibroblast cell. And that factory is literally run by vitamin C. Without vitamin C being there as the boss or the foreman of the factory, the little workers, the amino acids that create collagen fibers and elastin fibers, go to sleep, and no new collagen or elastin is being made on that particular day, just to make an analogy, if you can imagine it that way. So it was a very necessary part of skin revision. How did I stumble across this known fact? When I say known by nature, well, it was very simple. There's an anatomical textbook that almost all professionals, doctors, PhDs, students of medicine, students of anatomy, etc., have to read. And it's a book called Gray's Anatomy. 35th or 37th British edition was the one that I happen to have. Of course, there's been many updates over the years. But I noticed in the first part under epidermis, when it covered the epidermis, as it covered all aspects of the body, it talked strongly about synthesis of collagen in human tissue and the necessity of vitamin C being there. And is vitamin C the one single miracle anti-aging thing? No, it is not. It is necessary in any formula. The skin itself only accepts about 3% of whatever strength of vitamin C you put on your skin. Some companies say, oh, ours is 100% vitamin C in this product. First of all, that's chemically impossible. Ascorbic acid is a highly unstable ingredient. Now, the word unstable does not mean bad. It doesn't mean anything bad at all to a chemist, to a psychiatrist maybe, but not to a chemist. What it merely means is the ingredient itself is probably the strongest in its strongest form, but it denatures quickly when hit by air or oxygen. It starts to lose its power. Ascorbic acid in its original strength, just natural ascorbic acid from a variety of plants and fruits and vegetables and so on, in its most effective strength, denatures very quickly, so it's unstable. In other words, when it hits oxygen, it gets weaker each time. So if you have a serum of vitamin C, plain ascorbic acid, and each time you open the bottle, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. Okay, fine, but the public wants something a little bit longer lasting, so in comes the stable ascorbic acids, and boy did they make a circus of that. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was the only one preaching vitamin C for a long time. I guess in a way I was, but all of a sudden the American marketing machine got a hold of it a few years ago, and suddenly it was everywhere. They never mentioned exactly how it worked or why, but they just made the public believe you put lots of this in and it's going to make you younger. Well, then they had to make something different. So here comes the designer C's, this ester C or siesta. Oddly enough, I had a chuckle at that one because that was ascorbyl palmitate, the ester of any ascorbic acid. And it is a little bit more stable than just plain old ascorbic acid. Used widely in the food industry for years and years and years. In fact, I remember back in the old days when I had my little kitchen chemistry going, I used to buy great big gallons of it from a place, and they didn't know what I was using it for. But it was the palmitate. The reason why the cosmetic industry didn't like it was because it had a funny way of turning creams a little bit yellow. They could never depend on consistency of color. But I didn't care about that. I cared about what it would do in the skin. Who cares about the color? I wasn't selling in department stores at that time. So I added that. Then I thought, well, let's add the ascorbyl magnesium phosphate. That was a very stable one, very expensive, to the mix. So now we had something that was effective but longer lasting. But the thing about these stable Cs is that they are somewhat weaker than the strong, plain old everyday ascorbic acid. So in my opinion, theoretically mixing them together, you had both the strength and a little bit more longevity. Then it occurred to me, why not put all of these C's in the middle of a corral, like horses? surround them with a little fence so they are localized and stabilized and more powerful even longer. So I put a calcium ion around those. So now we had a sort of an encapsulated seed trio. None of them new, none of them, exclusive to any one company, although people were claiming, I couldn't believe this one company says, we discovered vitamin C. Hello, I think somebody upstairs discovered vitamin C. Not any single person. I certainly didn't create it. I just noticed it was needed in the fibroblast cell to create collagen to keep skin younger. So we added all that together, and that's what we've been using in formulation all these years as part of our components.